Back end of July, it's the Cardinals and the Marlins ready to play Game 3 of this 4-game series at Marlins Park, and two teams with their sights set on the postseason. St. Louis taking the first 2 games of this series to move into that second wild card spot, leapfrogging Miami over the first half of this set. And we say welcome inside Marlins Park with Preston Wilson. I'm Joe Davis. Obviously still a lot of baseball to be played, 2 full months of the regular season, but that doesn't make this any less of an important series for these two teams.
Anytime you play the team that you're trying to battle for a playoff spot, in this case, right now it's looking like wild card, it has implications because now you got to see how you match up and how it's going to go at the end of the season, because you might be looking at playing this team in the playoffs. Trade
deadline's obviously coming up. Cardinals haven't made any moves yet. The Marlins, though, it appears going for it, trying to make the postseason for the first time since '03. Yesterday they pulled off a 7-player deal. Andrew Cashner comes over. He'll start tomorrow. Today it's Colin Rea.
Well, the Marlins have been out there trying to figure out how they can get some more starting pitching, and they found it in San Diego, and Cashner, the power righty. Colin Rea also comes over. What these two guys can bring is innings. The Marlins need innings so that that bullpen can stay strong and be one of the best parts of this Marlins team.
The beard's gone. There's Andrew Cashner. I promise that's him. The Marlins have that policy, clean shaven, so gets rid of the beard but clings to the sideburns. And he will start tomorrow. The first start in a Marlins uniform. That's the old look with a beard in San Diego, but he's ready to go in a Marlins uniform with the new look. Colin Rea didn't have to clean up. Clean-shaven kid, 26 years old, out of Iowa, taking the ball for the first time in a Marlins uniform, just acquired yesterday from San Diego.
Colin Rea is definitely one of those guys that he's got to hit his spots. Not a super high velocity guy. He's got to be more located, but the one thing he does is he usually gets you at least 3-5 innings, and that's what the Marlins need. They need to make sure that starter gets deeper into the game.
Out of Cascade, Iowa, made his major league debut last year with a few games late in the season with the Padres, and then made his first opening day roster this season, winning one of the final spots in the rotation. Earned run average around 5, but controllable long term, and that's what attracted the Marlins to him as part of this deal. He'll face off with the top run-scoring offense in the National League in the St. Louis Cardinals, despite all of the injuries they've dealt with. One of them at the top of the order. Matt Carpenter was having an MVP caliber season when he went down with the oblique injury earlier this month, and Greg Garcia has handled the majority of the starts in that spot since. Jerko's another guy who's taken advantage of the injuries, as have Pham and Wong, and Grichuk back in there in the 8th spot. Mike Matheny has had to massage this lineup time and time again because of the injuries, and at this point he's playing the hot hand at several different spots.
Well, Tommy Pham has done great against the Marlins this year. Had a good series so far. Aledmys Diaz, even though he's not starting tonight, he's been one of those pieces in there. So Matheny has to try to figure out not only how to fix the lineup, but how to get all these guys at bats. They got a lot of guys that play similar positions. They got a lot of outfielders they got to try to mix in. It's going to be even more full on the infield when Carpenter gets back.
How about the defense surrounding Colin Rea in his Marlins debut? One of the top young outfields in the game with Yelich, Ozuna, and Stanton. And that, of course, means Ichiro does not start tonight as he tries to chase down his 3,000th hit. Comes into the game 2 hits short of 3,000. And D. Gordon back in the lineup there at second base. His 3rd game since returning from the 80-game PED suspension, and has started all 3 at second. Don Mattingly, first season as Marlins manager, and as Miami as a contender, here as July winds down. Colin Rea's first pitch is in there for strike 1. Came over from the Dodgers, where he had so much success, winning the 3 consecutive division titles. Ball and a strike on Greg Garcia. Was one of the guys that has taken advantage of the injuries the Cardinals have had to deal with this year. Garcia's hit above 300 all season. 1-2.
Some really good, exciting young players when you look at this Cardinals team. I mentioned Tommy Pham. You got Piscotty, who's also a great-looking young player. I like Grichuk. I think he's going to be a really good player. He's figuring it out right now, but he's got all the tools.
2 balls and 2 strikes on Garcia. And one of the things for Mike Matheny right now, especially as they get healthy with Carpenter and Peralta and Moss all set to come back, is finding playing time for all of those young players to continue to get experience. Outside on Garcia, the count goes full.
I think Matt Adams is feeling that effect as well, because Holiday's played a lot of first base this year, so it's made his at-bats start to shrink a little.
Garcia starting the day for St. Louis, and he's worked it full on Colin Ray. We'll do the 3-2 again. Well, the Marlins have dropped 4 of their last 6 games, including the first 2 of this series. Cardinals won the opener 5-4 and then exploded for an 11-6 win last night. Another 3-2 and another foul ball. Cardinals got 3 in the second. They got 6 in the 5th to chase Jose Urena, not just from the game, but right back to the minors after he had done some good things. Trying to hold on to the 5th spot in the Marlins rotation. But back down to AAA today. Garcia shoots one in the air to left for Christian Yelich in the first out. So 1 gone, and here's Jedd Gyorko, former teammate of Colin Ray's in San Diego for a short period of time last year, and homered against Ray in a Cardinals uniform earlier this season. Seven home runs over the last 12 games for Jedd Gyorko.
Yeah, he put on quite a show when San Diego came into town and played the Cardinals. He treated them rather rudely, to say he's an old friend.
Did you have any performances like that against old teams? Were you?
I hit a lot of home runs against the Mets.
Did you?
Yeah.
Coincidence?
Just happened. I felt at home at Shea Stadium, I think.
1 ball and 2 strikes on Gyorko. Came over straight up for Jon Jay this offseason, and Jay has done some good things for the Padres, although injured right now. Here comes Ray's 1-2, and Gyorko takes strike 3. Colin Ray's first strikeout in a Marlins uniform is out number 2 in the first.
That's a nice job of pitching right there. This is a good pitch, well located. Little two-seamer that comes back just enough to grab the corner. Gyorko can't pull the trigger.
'19th start this season for Ray, and now faces Matt Holliday, who has a home run against Ray in his career as well. You know, it's interesting that Ray's debut comes against St. Louis. He's faced them 3 times in his year plus in the majors. He's 0-2 with an ERA above 6. Holliday digs it out. At third, it's Prado, and it's a 1-2-3 first inning in Colin Ray's Marlins debut. Marlins pick up the bats when you come back. Ready to lead off the bottom of the first inning for the Marlins against Jaime Garcia on the mound for the Cardinals. 30 years old and pitching on 3 days rest for the first time in his career.
Yeah, but Matheny is very comfortable with this because he feels like it's not going to affect him. If Jaime Garcia has that good feeling, if he has good movement, he's going to pitch well. And I don't think the number of days rest really are going to affect him that much.
And the key for him is that Tuesday in New York, he only threw 77 pitches. And Dee Gordon attacks his first offering today and sends it in the air to center for extra bases. It's over Pham's head, and it's a double for Gordon to start the night for Miami.
Dee Gordon jumps on the first thing he sees, ball right in the middle of the plate, and he wastes no time. He drills this ball over Tommy Pham's head. I thought he might have possibly had a play on it. Just too well hit.
And this is third game back from the 80-game PED suspension. And so the leadoff man in scoring position for the Marlins. And up comes Martin Prado.
Not many guys that are just fun to watch run.
Oh, I know.
Dee Gordon is fun to watch run.
Yeah. Now, the interesting thing with Gordon's return, first of all, Derek Dietrich had, prior to the last couple of weeks, played pretty darn well in his spot. The next thing is he's ineligible for the postseason, Gordon is. So while he's back to try and help the Marlins get to the playoffs, if they get there, they'll be without him.
Yeah, I've heard talk about people saying, well, why are you playing him? The key is to get to the playoffs. You make all the other plans after that. You get in the playoffs, and then you figure it out from there. There's a lot of seasons where a guy has played and gotten hurt at the end of the year, and then somebody fills in for him in a team. But so you just have to treat it like that.
Came back on Thursday, issued that heartfelt video on social media apologizing to fans and sending messages to young kids, pleading with them to continue to look up to him and promising them that he wouldn't let him down again. Garcia to Prado with an 0-2. And that's ball one. So Gordon doubled. Prado with a 1-2 count. After him, it'll be Christian Yelich. Then Giancarlo Stanton, who's starting to get it going again after that rotten stretch over the first half of the season. Ozuna was an all-star. Johnson making another start at first because Moore is out. Mathis, Echeverria, and Ray at the bottom third.
Garcia is trying to not let Prado get that run over to third base right here.
Prado's been quite a leader for this Marlins team. This is his second year, and so he was one of the guiding forces last year in that up and down roller coaster soap opera of a season that the Marlins endured. And not only has he been a leader this year, but he's produced. He is third in the National League, hitting .327.
He's a pro, and he goes about his business every day, and his teammates respect that.
Tries to lay off and does. 2-2.
You know, the way he goes about his work, the way he treats everyone. He's not a very talkative guy, but when he says something, all heads look up. You know, that he has that voice where it's respected, and guys look to him. Guys come to him for advice. He's a true leader.
Homered in both games in this series as his hitting coach Barry Bonds looks on. So 5 home runs total for him this season, and 1 each of the last 2 nights. After falling behind, he's worked it full.
And I spoke to Prado, and he said he realizes he's going to hit less home runs, but what he's doing right now, he's going to stick with it. He's going to try to get that average as high as he can, not worry about power. If he runs into one, so be it. But he's just thinking about staying with that same approach he has up the middle, and it's working out quite well for him.
As Gordon at second, nobody out in the first inning. 32-year-old in his 11th major league season waits for Garcia's 3-2. Prado hits it to third, and Jerko's got it. Nice play for out number 1. Well, this Cardinals defense has been one of the worst in baseball when you're looking at full body of work this season. Only the Milwaukee Brewers have committed more errors, but they've been better lately, and part of that has been Aledmys Diaz, their all-star shortstop, who gets the day off today. He's continued to improve defensively.
He's getting a lot better. Matt Holliday is getting better at first base when he plays. Yadier Molina, though, I mean, he is the standard. He's the gold standard for a catcher. He does everything. He blocks balls well. He throws extremely well. And he has a command of that pitching staff that you rarely see. I mean, they have total trust in him. Very rarely do you see anybody shake him off.
Christian Yelich now with a man at second and one gone and a scoreless first inning. Having a breakout season for the Marlins, and really if you go back to the All-Star break last year, it's been a breakout after a slow start where he dealt with some injuries in 2015. Since the All-Star break last year, he has the highest batting average of anybody in the National League.
Man can just flat out hit.
Opposite field, base hit to left center. Christian Yelich drives home D. Gordon on his way to second with a double. And the Marlins lead 1-0.
There's some guys that can wake up on Christmas morning and hit you 3-line drives. Christian Yelich is one of them. He's such a simple approach, but he can repeat this swing over and over again. Look how quiet the body is. Head down on the baseball, drives that ball the other way. Look at that. Oh, that's pretty.
Good speed to get into scoring position. Second double of the inning, and the Marlins lead 1-0.
Yelich also has some power that will surprise you. Hit a ball over 440 feet in Philly last week.
Speaking of power, here's Stanton, and there's ball one. Stanton has come alive for Miami. He was hitting 193 in the middle of June with a slugging a little over 400. Since then, that's slugging above 600 and the average above 300. Hard hit, base hit to left. Here comes Yelich. Holliday is thrown, not in time. And an RBI single for Giancarlo Stanton makes it 2-0 Marlins.
Stanton is such a big piece to this club. He has that run production that they really need. And when he gets going, it's a scary thing because he covers all pitches. He can hit the ball out of any part of the ballpark. And the ball comes off his bat with such velocity. New base running by Yelich, nice turn at third. And they are going to challenge Tommy Pham. When they went to St. Louis to play them, they made sure they challenged him, and I look for that again in this game. Any base hit to left field with a man on second, they're going to challenge him.
So already 3 hits in this inning for the Marlins, and here's Marcell Ozuna, the all-star for Miami. It's been a resurgence this year. For him, the breakout came in 2014 when he banked 23 home runs.
I meant to say Holliday. That's Holliday out there left.
Pham starting in center today for St. Louis. So Ozuna had that breakout 2 years ago, but then last year, in his words, got complacent, thought that it'd come easy, struggled so much that they sent him down to the minors. And after hitting .259 with only 10 homers all of last season in the bigs, he averaged around 300 this year, already with 18 home runs. High fly ball to left center field. Pham goes back on it. There's number 19.
Oh my, Ozuna. Put a charge on the one, why don't you? He gets good extension. That ball is center cut, and he does not miss it. He has the quickest hands on this Marlins team. There's a guy that knows a little bit about hitting home runs.
Chris Johnson looks at a strike, and Barry Bonds and Marcell Ozuna have developed in a short time a pretty special bond.
Oh, they have. From day one, Marcell Ozuna sought out Barry and just tried to be a sponge. He tried to soak up all that knowledge that he can. And it's paid big dividends because Ozuna is not only producing, he's a lot more patient. And Barry Bonds used to play games where he would get 2 pitches to hit, and he hit both of them hard. And that's a hard thing to do.
Johnson back up the middle. There's Wong.
You know, someone to teach a young player to be selective.
Wow, how about this? The Cardinals bullpen and Tyler Lyons, who was initially the guy that folks figured would make the start. He's been a long man in the bullpen, has turned into a very key part of the bullpen. Loosening here in the first inning as Jaime Garcia struggles, allowing 4 runs. Strike 1 on Jeff Mathis. Again, this is the first time in Garcia's career that he's gone on 3 days rest. And ironically, it comes on the day where he passes 20 starts in a season for the first time in 5 years because of significant injury problems. Mathis checks on Jerko, has a tough bounce to retire the side. But the Marlins strike for 4 against Garcia and get the bullpen stirring in the first. Marlins in the bottom of the first inning, and it's 4-0 as we begin the second. Middle third of the Cardinals order. Here's Matt Adams against Colin Ray, making his Miami debut. And how about that? One day after he's acquired in that 7-player deal from San Diego, his offense gets him 4 runs in the first inning.
That makes you feel welcome, doesn't it?
Yeah. Comes a 1-0. Adams golfs it in the air on the infield. Echeverria, the shortstop. Round number 1. You had a couple times in your career where you were dealt mid-season, once in the minors, once as a big leaguer, but that can't be easy to come over and have to ingrain yourself in a new clubhouse and try to impress your teammates.
I tell you, it's amazing that you have to get acclimated so quickly. The game is still the same, but you have to learn the clubhouse people. You got to learn your trainers, your manager. Learn your coaches, learn what routine your coaches like to do, learn how they time things as far as your workouts, your trainings. It's a whole new language that you're immersing yourself in.
There's Cashner, who will start tomorrow. He, of course, was the key to the deal. Molina hits a fly ball to center, sending Ozuna back shy of the warning track. 2 gone. So 5 up and 5 down for Ray. And Don Mattingly told us that he did take a minute to talk with Ray upon his arrival. Texted with him yesterday after the deal was done and laid down some of the ground rules and how things work, but a very Cliff Notes version of what the Marlins culture is. He'll catch up more after his debut today. Tommy Pham, strike 1.
Colin Ray, he looks sharp so far. He's hitting the spots, he's pitching on the edges, keeping the ball down.
Former 12th round pick out of Indiana State. Typically think baseball when you think Indiana State. Wilmer Sycamore, 1-2.
This is one of those bright young spots for this St. Louis Cardinals team. Tommy Pham, he's got big time power. He's got really quick hands, and he's forced himself into that mix in that outfield in St. Louis.
And it's blown by him at 91 for strike 3. It's his second K for Colin Ray. 6 up and 6 down on an 8-pitch second. From San Francisco to Miami. Welcome those of you that just finished watching the Giants topping the Nationals here to Marlins Park in Miami, where the Marlins sprung for 4 against Jaime Garcia in the first inning and bring 8, 9, and 1 to the plate here in the second. Adeiny Hechavarria takes ball 1. Joe Davis and Preston Wilson, with 2 teams facing off near the top of the wild card standings right now. Cardinals have taken the first 2 games of this series and lead the Marlins by 1 game for the second wild card spot.
Jaime Garcia in that first inning just didn't have the command that he wanted. There was some movement on pitches, but he left a lot of balls in the middle of the plate. And that Marlins offense, they didn't miss.
Yelich and Stanton both knocked in runs with base hits, and Marcell Ozuna hit his 19th homer of the year. Hechavarria with a laser to left center and a leadoff base hit here in the second. Cardinals Nationals took the opener 5-4. They won last night 11-6, but it's been all Marlins so far. That's Yelich driving in a run with a double after Gordon had started the game with a double of his own. RBI single for Stanton. And then Ozuna's home run was a 2-run shot to left center.
Yeah, and there's a common theme in every one of these pitches. It's mislocation. You see Yadi reaching a lot in every one of those clips. And when you do that, bad things happen.
This is, if you're just joining us, the first time in Garcia's career that he's pitched on 3 days rest. Although in his last start, which was Tuesday in New York, only threw 77 pitches. Rays up there to punt, and he takes ball 1. Now, the reason that it's extra noteworthy for Garcia that he's coming off 3 days rest. Health issues throughout his career. He's a guy who had Tommy John in 2008. Shoulder problems for a few years following that. He had partial tears in his labrum and in his rotator cuff. He had surgery for thoracic outlet syndrome, the same thing that's shutting Matt Harvey down, which basically is a nerve issue, and in the case of a lot of pitchers prevents that blood flow to the arm, causes issues. For him it was in his shoulder, and then missed time last year bouncing back from that surgery and then dealing with a groin injury. On 1-1, Ray lays it down. Molina has one play. So Colin Ray, in his Marlins debut, has retired the first 6 on the mound, and here a successful sacrifice.
Well, here are your keys to the game. Miami, they got to keep these Cardinals hitters from hitting the ball out of the ballpark. The Cardinals have 11 home runs against Miami already this year. In Miami, they got to turn some of those base hits into runs, and they did that in the first inning. In St. Louis, the Marlins hit. They get a lot of hits. They're leading the National League in batting average, but you got to spread them out. You can't let them string those hits together and put up a 4-spot or multiple run innings.
Second trip through that Marlins order, and it's D. Gordon. Doubled on the first pitch that he saw from Jaime Garcia. Came at his score on Yelich's double. Gordon is now 3 of 9 since coming back from the 80-game suspension on Thursday. And for those of you that just joined us watching the Giants and Nationals game, we'll reference again what we did in the first inning, and that is the significant note that he is ineligible for the postseason, despite being eligible to return here for the final 2 months of the regular season. 1-1.
Speaking with Don Mattingly, he has the feeling of, look, we just got to get there. We get to the playoffs, we'll figure out the rest later. And I think that's the right approach you have to have.
Second longest drought in the majors here in Miami. Last went in 2003, and of course won the World Series that year. Garcia at short, throws Gordon out. You can bid now to get your very own 2016 MLB Home Run Derby jersey, autographed by David Ortiz, having one of the great seasons of his career here in his final season. Net proceeds will be donated to the Baseball Assistance Team, and their primary goal is to help members of the baseball family in need. Don't miss your chance to win this jersey. MLB.com/bat today.
It's a really good cause. We've done some work with the BAT organization. You know, baseball players didn't make that much years ago. Now it's a lot different. The economics are different. And, you know, some of the guys getting a little older, have injuries, have hospital play. They do a great job of assisting the players who came before us.
Ball one on Martin Prado. Grounded out to third his first time. Jaime Garcia trying to work a quick second after first inning that saw the bullpen stir. Tyler Lyons had started to throw for Mike Matheny. A 1-0 to Martin Prado, and ball 2.
And if some of you are wondering why Jaime Garcia is throwing on short rest, Matheny didn't feel like they wanted to bring up a minor leaguer. Last time they brought in a minor leaguer when they needed another starter, didn't go very well. So he wanted to stick with who he had and figured he could get through this in good shape.
That was Sunday against Los Angeles, and Mike Myers got shelled. He was only the 6th starting pitcher this season for St. Louis. And the same starting 5 in that rotation up until late July. That's something.
Well, that's one area where they've had good health this year, is in the starting rotation.
You mentioned potentially calling up another minor leaguer. Alex Reyes, top prospect in their system, figures to make his debut sooner rather than later. Some figured that it could be this weekend. A 3-0 to Prado. Strike one. Both these teams right in the thick of it. Miami's now 5.5 back in the East with Washington's loss in San Francisco. And they enter this game behind the Cardinals 1 game back for that second wild card spot. Prado earns the 2-out walk. That is the first walk of this series issued by Cardinal pitching, and it keeps his second inning going.
Well, there's no shame in that. That's a good walk, because Prado is hot right now. Once you fall behind him 2-0, 3-0, you don't want to give in with first base open.
Well, the Marlins, sensing an opportunity to make a run at the postseason for the first time in more than a decade, executed that 7-player trade yesterday that brought today's starter Colin Ray and tomorrow's starter Andrew Cashner. Cardinals haven't made any deals yet as the deadline approaches, but rumor is that John Mozeliak scouring that relief market, not necessarily looking for an impact arm at the back end, but a key piece to a bullpen, as opposed to one of the stoppers that has been in the market, like Chapman to the Cubs. Melanson, we're hearing, headed to the Nationals. Most folks don't assume the Cardinals will make a splash in regards to the bullpen, but always tweaking. Christian Yelich doubled a home run his first time. And he's behind Garcia 0-2.
The deal for Cashner and Rea for the Marlins is big, because they need starting pitching that's going to give them more innings. The bullpen of the Marlins have been such a strength, but when your starters don't give you enough innings, those guys start getting tired, their roles start getting expanded, and then they start breaking down. So you need to get your starters to stretch out those innings to keep them in top form.
Garcia gets the strikeout, his first one of the night, to finish this second inning. Puts up a 0 after the 4th spot in the first. Miami in front of St. Louis 4-0. All 4 runs coming in the first. And Colin Rea back to the hill here in his Marlins debut, having retired the first 6 that he's faced. Colt Wong starts this inning. And on 1-0. Fouls it back, strike 1. The bottom third of this Cardinals order with Wong leading this inning off. Had his first 3-hit game since the opening week of the season last night, with a single, a double, and a triple. And he jams one into left for a base hit to start the third.
It's a good sign for Kolten Wong. Sometimes he can get a little bit pull happy, and he's got to stay on the ball to be more consistent, and he let that ball get really deep, get jammed a little bit, throw it over the shortstop head. There's a lot of hits over there.
Mike Matheny giving him the start today as he continues to ride the hot hand at several different spots with the injuries they have. And because of that philosophy, and Mike Matheny even admitted it, this guy here, Randal Grichuk, has been kind of a victim of the way that he's putting those lineups together lately. As other guys have played better, Tommy Pham has gotten hot. Jeremy Hazelbaker's done some good things since coming back up from the minors. Grichuk has gone 4 for his last 30. He kind of got lost in the shuffle the last couple of weeks.
They got some guys in that outfield who are producing. Of course, Holiday, Piscotty, Tommy Pham. You know, and then when you're in a mix like that, you got to produce.
Grichuk a season ago hit .276, homered 17 times. A lot of people around St. Louis thought that he had, and there are some that still think that he has, an all-star future. But got off to a nightmarish start this year and was sent to AAA midway through the year to try and figure things out.
I'm one of those people who thinks this guy has a very high ceiling. He's got speed, he's got power. He hits balls as far as anybody.
Yeah.
When he gets a hold of one, he's got lightning in that swing. He plays a good outfield. I think he's just going through one of those phases right now where he's trying to figure out. He's been tinkering with his setup a little bit. His hands, the bat slot is a little different. Had a flat bat, a little bit leaned towards the umpire at the beginning of the year. There are a few adjustment periods that young players have to go through. Because first, the league has to adjust to you. Because no matter what anybody says, you don't really scout minor leaguers. So you have success early, but then the league adjusts and you have to adjust back. And I think this is that phase for him. He's adjusting to the adjustments that the league made.
On 1-2. Just off of the plate, and it's 2-2. And while the league was adjusting to him, he was already trying to change his philosophy and his approach, with the suggestion from the Cardinals trying to raise that on-base percentage, lower the strikeouts. But it hasn't worked, at least not over the first few months of trying to do that. He tried to get back to who he is while he was in AAA Memphis. Did he watch video of what was a huge season in the minors in 2014 while he was down there? Rediscovered some of the rhythm and the timing in his swing. Regained some of the confidence which he admitted he had lost over the first 2 months this year.
You know, and really, when you talk about that adjustment, that's what a sophomore slump is. It's the people that you're going against have adjusted, and now you got to figure out how to combat that. And some guys, it takes a little longer.
Rea with a long pause and a 2-2 that ties him up, and he offered. And if things aren't going well, those calls typically don't go your way. One gone.
Colin Rea does a good job getting this ball inside. Really got it off the plate. Oh yeah, that ball's in the batter's box. That's just poor recognition right there. It happens. I spent a few years doing that.
Jaime Garcia now with the man at first and one gone. Joe Davis and Preston Wilson here at Marlins Park. As Garcia bunts it foul for a strike. Trying to move Wong into scoring position for the top of the order. St. Louis tries to cut into this 4-0 deficit. This is the top offense in the National League this year, scoring more than 5 runs per game. Despite all those injuries they've dealt with Carpenter and Peralta and Moss, all currently on the DL, but all close to coming back. Peralta and Moss both due back when the Cardinals hit Cincinnati on Tuesday. And then they say Matt Carpenter could come back when the team returns home next weekend. Rays 1-1. Garcia puts this one in play to third. Prado with a glance at second and an out at first. Well, we mentioned Tuesday night, perhaps a couple of players coming back for St. Louis. You can watch that game on FS1 when the Cardinals take on the Reds. All that action at 7 Eastern on FS1 and on Fox Sports Go. Wonder if Jay Bruce will still be a Red at that point.
That's going to be interesting. There's some teams out there that want that big left-handed bat.
Back to the top. Here's Greg Garcia. Boy, Bruce has been rumored to be moving for what seems like forever now, for the last couple of years near the deadline. And the difference this year is that he's producing and he's an attractive chip for teams now. Runner at second and 2 gone. And Rays 1-0. Generous strike, 1-1. Inside, 2 balls and a strike. A lot of times you'll see a team go acquire a guy that's given them fits. They've had trouble shutting down or trouble getting hits against. It's the opposite case with Colin Rea, who's one appearance against the Marlins this year. A career worst 8 runs allowed. 2-2. Came back on June 13th. Lasted only 2 2/3 innings in that game. And so I'm sure there were some Marlins fans that said, wait a minute, where do I know that name Colin Rea from? And then checked and saw where they remembered him from and thought, well, why? Well, the Marlins like the fact that he is controllable long term. And in a rotation in need of some back end depth, he was a nice addition to the deal for him.
Get over there!
Bounce to first. Johnson will take it to the bag. And the Cardinals leave a man in scoring position. 4-0 to the bottom of the third. Miami as they try to get their first win of this series after the Cardinals took the opener 5-4. Game 2 11-6 last night. Middle third of the Marlins order, Giancarlo Stanton, who singled home a run and scored his first time, leads it off against Jaime Garcia. Drops one in at 68 miles per hour for strike one. Nice tail to that pitch, 0-2.
Good changeup right here, gets that good fade. And Stanton just runs out of bat.
Going outside again. Takes this one, ball one. Stood healthy for the most part this season. Last year was ended with a broken hand at the end of June. He hit 27 home runs in the first half last year before that hand injury. 2 years ago was when he was hit in the face late in the season, was on an MVP type run. 3-2. The year before that, hamstring issue. The year before that, had the knee surgery. Just been a matter of keeping him in the lineup. After falling behind 0-2, pops up a 3-2. Molina's got room.
Well, Stanton went through one of the roughest stretches I'd ever seen him go through. About a good 6 weeks, he was just not close offensively. The timing was off. He was swinging at pitches that he couldn't do anything with, and it just kept going. And now you're starting to see him get back to more of himself. First 26 games, see the 10 home runs, 24 RBIs, slugging over 600, and then all of a sudden, hit less than 160 in over 30 games. And it was hard. It was hard to watch a guy struggle like that.
Marcell Ozuna taking strike one. He's always been a guy where the hits and the homers and the RBIs have come kind of in bunches, and he's had those long, poor stretches, but like you said, never that long. That was a full month and a half of struggling from Stanton.
But I do think there was a benefit for this Marlins team last year when he broke his hand, and this year with him struggling. They learned they don't need him to win. They can play good baseball and be a complete team. It's not just Giancarlo Stanton and the rest of the Marlins. They have a team that has a lot of pieces that can help you win.
Ozuna chases one that's down for strike three, and we check in with Chris Myers for a game break. All right, Chris, that is, Preston, your World Series favorite in the American League right now?
Yes, I like Cleveland coming out of it. They play every type of baseball you can play. They have a speed game. They play good defense. They have power. They have veterans. I think they play any type of baseball you can play against them. I don't think there's some teams that have power pitchers that a team doesn't match up well. There's some teams that have team speed that other teams don't match up well because they can't control the running game. Cleveland, to me, can play any type of baseball. They can come from behind. And Francisco Lindor, what a good-looking young shortstop that guy is.
Chris Johnson hits a fly ball to left center. Matt Holliday runs under it and completes the first 1-2-3 inning of the game for Jaime Garcia. sun setting here in Miami, where the Cardinals trail the Marlins 4-0. And we move on to the 4th inning. Earlier this week, they unveiled the logo for next year's All-Star game, which should be here in Miami. Jeffrey Loria, the commissioner, Rob Manfred, Jeff Conine, who's on both World Series teams here, is now an advisor in the front office. Out there to unveil the logo, and this should be a nice spot for the Summer Classic next year.
Oh, I think they're going to put on a good show here. Everybody's excited. And Miami knows how to entertain people. So I think it's going to be a really good deal for baseball to have the All-Star game in Miami.
Jed Jerko leads off this inning against Colin Ray and fouls off a hanging breaking ball for strike one. Jerko took strike 3 called his first time. 1 of 3 for Colin Ray, who's allowed only 1 base runner over his first 3 innings in his Marlins debut. 1-1. Former San Diego Padre. As recently as Monday, pitched for San Diego up in Toronto. Padres drafted him out of Indiana State, which was his 3rd different college. He actually started his college career at Northern Iowa. That program folded after 1 year there for him. So then came down to Florida, St. Petersburg Junior College, before finishing up at Indiana State. Holiday and Adams to follow here in the 4th, and a 3-1 to Jerko. Swings through ball 4, 3-2.
At 88, he looked like he would like a little BP fastball on him right there. He'd been 90, 91 the whole game, and he got Jerko in an aggressive count and throttled back a little bit, got him out front.
The second time he's gotten Jerko. Took a little off that one as well. He's been impressive so far.
It takes a lot of guts for a pitcher to throw softer, because you always want to throw harder, but some pitchers have the guts to do it, and it's tough as a hitter when you're used to seeing a guy throw 91, 92 miles an hour, and it's the same motion with no difference. Well, maybe that's the difference in the velocity.
Yikes. Right after he threw the pitch, you saw on the replay him motion to the dugout and called the training staff out.
No real reaction there. He just felt it, you know. You see him where he put the glove there, call somebody out. I was trying to see if there was a grimace on the face or something, but this is a tough break right here for the Marlins, because this is what they were trying to avoid. They got Colin Ray and Andrew Cashner to give them some length in that rotation, some depth at the end of that rotation. And to have a short start and to have an injury possibly for a player that you just got in a trade is just...
His first few innings have worked so encouraging. Your heart just drops no matter what team you're rooting for. The Marlins have to go to the bullpen. David Phelps, of all the time that he needs to get ready. So Phelps comes on with Colin Ray leaving the game, calling the training staff out to the mound after striking out Jed Jerko for the first out here in the 4th. We will take a break while Phelps gets ready to go in a 4-0 game in Miami. Debut leaves the game with some kind of injury after the first out here in the fourth.
Colin Ray looked sharp earlier in the game. He had good movement, good location. He kept the ball down. And right there, that was the last pitch he threw. And you see the wave to the dugout. That's a tough break. I mean, he was really sharp.
And so he's got to hand it off to the bullpen early in this game. And for Phelps, only 5 times this year has he gone more than 1 inning. He is a former starter, so has the ability to give him some length, at least in his history, but is not stretched out this season. Now today here where they're going to need some length from that bullpen. Be sure to tune in tomorrow afternoon on Fox for MLS action. Portland Timbers and Sporting KC in Kansas City with the coverage starting at 1:30 with MLS pregame. And then it's Sporting KC and the Portland Timbers. Game time will be 2 Eastern on Fox. So the Marlins make that trade yesterday, a 7-player deal that brings Andrew Cashner obviously as the key piece of it. And a lot of people looked at it and said, well, it was basically a straight swap with Jared Cozart going to San Diego and Colin Ray coming here. Pretty similar pitchers as far as what they've done recently. But Ray leaving the game with the injury after a few innings in what was, as you saw just a moment ago, an impressive debut here in a Marlins uniform.
Well, the Marlins got Cashner and Ray hoping to get innings. San Diego in that deal gets Jared Cozart, who the Marlins really thought they had a good upside for him. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. Carter Capps, flame-throwing reliever, on his way back from surgery right now, but we've seen him top out at over 100 miles an hour.
You know, one of the reasons that the Marlins have been so desperate to get starting pitching, not just because everybody wants more starting pitching this time of year, not just because they're middle of the pack when it comes to earned run average, but Jose Fernandez, who's been fantastic, they're saying there's going to be some kind of innings limit on him here in his first full season back from Tommy John, and so that may mean shutting him down for short periods of time, at least skipping starts during this second half, and needing all the depth that they can find to help get them into the postseason where you can then use Fernandez.
Well, they've picked out a few starts for Jose that they know they're going to skip for him, and it's made him able to get deeper into the season, or hopefully pitch the whole season by the way they've orchestrated it. That's why he didn't pitch opening day. He was the second starter of the year, and just doing that alone cut 5 starts off his season.
Wei-Yin Chen, who they acquired this offseason, has the elbow strain early September at the earliest for him. At Holiday taking ball 1 from Phelps. Urania had done some things positively recently, but got blown up last night and immediately sent back to the minors. Adam Conley's been a great surprise for the Marlins rotation this year. 11-6 with a .352 earned run average.
This bullpen has got a lot of work cut out for him. Last night, Urania only went 4 1/3, so they had to pick up the rest of that, and now they're asked to come in.
Holiday lifting one to right, almost up into the roof of this place. Stanton's got it. 2 gone in the 4th. Phelps, a 29-year-old, originally from Missouri, played his college ball at Notre Dame, now in his 5th major league season, first with the Yankees, now in his 2nd year in Miami. Matt Adams with a frisbee slider that swings through the back door for a strike.
Well, Phelps features a good breaking ball, but he also has a good cutter at times. But Phelps is a very interesting piece for the Marlins bullpen because he can do so many things. He's been a starter. He's been a long guy. He's pitched on the back end. Earlier in the season, he was the setup guy. He was pretty much the 8th inning guy for the Marlins. He pitched very well. Run into a little bit of a road bump lately. And the stuff is there, the velocity's there. It's just the location has failed him at times. He's thrown a few cutters that have basically turned into bad fastballs because they didn't really cut where he wanted them to.
Not a guy you want to do that against in Adams. 3-2. This is a pretty darn good trade it turned out for the Marlins that brought Phelps here. Phelps and Martin Prado. The everyday third baseman for Miami, 3rd in the National League in batting average. And the key piece that went the other way was Nathan Eovaldi, who's done some good things lately for the Yankees, but overall has been a disappointment there. Even spent some time in the bullpen. Phelps with a 3-2 to Adams, and it's fouled off.
Matt Adams got some big time power, and he goes the other way well for a big guy too. A lot of times your left-handed power hitters are more pull hitters. This guy can hit the ball out of the ballpark anywhere.
Goes by Chris Johnson and a foul ball. Stays at 3-2. Adams is hit 12 home runs this season, including one that ended a 16-inning game last week against the Dodgers on Friday night. It was his 2nd career 16th inning home run. One of only a few players that have ever done that. And he walks to keep this 4th inning alive. And Yadier Molina to the plate for St. Louis. Going through one of his best stretches of the year right now. He's had a hit in 13 straight. Fly to center his first time up. Molina got off to a good start this year, then went through a stretch where it seemed like he was hitting balls at guys every time he went up, experiencing some bad luck. That snowballed into an actually bad stretch, but over the last couple of weeks he's gotten it going again. Phelps with a 1-0. Line drive towards the right field corner. Stanton won't get there, and it bounces by him. Adams held at 3rd and a double from Yadier Molina.
Yadi scorches that one into right field. He's such a good hitter. Stays on this ball. Stanton tries to get it, carries a little bit too far, but he does a good job of keeping it going to the fence, and that stops Adams from scoring on that play.
Boy, that was a swing of a guy who's locked in, huh?
Yeah, it is. When you take that pitch and go that way that well with it, you're seeing the ball well. And Yadi's, I think he's just starting to get that strength back in his forearm and his hands after the injury last year. I saw him in spring training, and we were talking about it, and I was joking about when I had my knee surgery, and he was like, man, they took the cast off, and I looked down, he's like, whose arm is this? You don't realize the atrophy that takes place under there when you're not using those muscles.
Tommy Pham takes one low. It's 1-1. And in the case of Molina, it's the last couple of years he's dealt with those thumb and wrist issues. Had 2 thumb surgeries during this offseason. And as he's gotten healthy, he's put together this 14-game hitting streak. 1-2 on Pham. Not only a 14-game hit streak, but a 5-game double streak for Molina now. Nice opportunity for St. Louis to get back into this game. 2nd and 3rd with 2 gone, and a 1-2 count on Tommy Pham. Phelps gets him. And gets out of this fourth inning, replacing Colin Ray with no damage done. Justin Wilson, Joe Davis for Game 3 of this 4-game series between the Cardinals and the Marlins. After St. Louis took the first 2 games of the set, Miami jumped all over Jaime Garcia in the first inning for a 4 spot. And that has accounted for all the scoring so far. Garcia's back out there, bottom third of the Miami order coming up. Here's Jeff Mathis. It's been a nice job by Garcia to recover after that first inning, where not only did he allow the 4 runs, but Mike Matheny had Tyler Lyons warming in the bullpen.
Yeah, the first inning was not very good for Jaime Garcia. A lot of mislocation. But the last 2, he's really done a lot better. His breaking ball's been better. His changeup has gotten better, and he's located his fastball. He's gotten it out of the middle of the plate the last 2 innings.
Here's his 2-0 to Mathis. 3 balls and no strikes. Mathis grounded out to third his first time, making the start today with JT Realmuto, getting the day off. Garcia's 3-1 is bounce foul. The Cardinals have won 9 of their last 12. And to the Game 6 back of the Cubs in the Central. Cubs lost today with Aroldis Chapman blowing a save. But if the playoffs were to begin today, Cardinals would be in the wild card game against the Dodgers. Still a lot of baseball to be played. Line to center. Tommy Pham going back over his head. Mathis hits a missile to the wall to start this inning with a double.
Mathis absolutely freezes Pham with this. Pham didn't realize it was hit as hard as it was. And as a center fielder, this is the hardest ball to play. The line drive right at you. You see those couple steps in, and that absolutely kills you because you can't outrun the baseball. So if you don't get depth first on those line drives, the ball's going to beat you. And Jeff Mathis, even though he came into this game hitting .205, I talked to Frank Menechino, and he feels like he's hit the ball a lot harder than that .205 average shows, and they gave him a leg kick and that's helped him be on time more and given a little bit more snap in that swing.
Echeverria looks at a strike. That is already the 4th extra base hit of the night for Miami, and that's noteworthy because this team gets a larger percentage of its hits in the form of singles than any other team in baseball. The Cardinals rely on extra base hits, specifically home runs, more than any team. Echeverria with a fly ball to left center. Holliday moves over and hits off his glove, and it rolls all the way to the track. Mathis will score, and it's 5-0 Marlins.
And the extra base trend continues. Holliday had a long way to run for this ball. Very nearly caught it. You see where he's going to end up, really closer to center field than left field. They were playing Echeverria the other way, right off the tip of the glove. You can't fault the effort. It was a good route, just didn't come up with it. Echeverria hit that ball very well.
Second hit of the day for Echeverria, and the 5th extra base hit of the night for Miami. David Phelps up there to bat, up there to sacrifice. It bounces in, ball 1. So how do you lead the league in hits and in batting average but place 11th in runs per game like the Marlins do? That is single people to death. They've not had a ton of power in this lineup.
Well, and that's really what's missing. You know, it's okay to get hits, but you have to try to find a way to score runs. And when you play against teams that hit the ball out of the ballpark, it's tough for you to score runs when you have to do it one base at a time, or you have to get at least 3 hits to score 1 run.
Sacrifice bunt for Phelps moves Echeverria to 3rd. So not only do they not hit for a ton of power, they're second last in the league in home runs, but they don't have a ton of speed. It helps getting D. Gordon back. They're in the bottom few as far as stolen bases, and they've left more men on than any team in baseball.
And there's has to be a raise in awareness of the young Marlin hitters and learning how to hit with men on and how to hit with men in scoring position. It's a different at bat than when you're hitting with no one on. The pitcher's going to attack you differently. He's going to try to stay away from certain areas of the plate or stay away from certain pitches. It's a different mentality, and I know sabermetricians don't put a lot of value in the run batted in, but there's a reason why some people are good at it.
All kinds of changes here for Mike Matheny. Most importantly, Tyler Lyons coming in to replace Garcia. comes in and left. That moves Matt Holliday from left to first. And into the game to pitch, Tyler Lyons replacing Jaime Garcia. Top of the Miami order. Here's Dee Gordon, who shows bunt and takes ball one. So both teams into the bullpen in early order in this game. David Phelps came in for Colin Ray in the top of this inning. And here in the bottom half, pitching on short rest, Jaime Garcia removed for Lyons. Who delivers 1-0 to Gordon. Breaking ball up and in, 2-0. Gordon 1 for 2, doubled and scored in that 4-run first inning. And then grounded out to short in the second. Hooked around the plate, 3 balls, no strikes. Lyons has been a really important piece for St. Louis, especially the last month and a half or so. Over his last 12 games, an .092 earned run average, and that is in giving them some pretty good length. 3-1. Before they said Garcia would start this game on short rest, it was planned that Lyons would make a spot start. But instead he piggybacks Garcia here in the 4th. And that's ball 4. Well, the official word that we're getting on Colin Ray is right elbow soreness. Day to day, the official status, and obviously more testing coming. But that is the initial report from the Marlins training staff.
You hate to see anyone get hurt, but you know Colin Ray came over here wanting to impress his teammates, make that splash, coming over in the trade, and he has to come out of the game in his first appearance. You know, your heart goes out to that young man.
Man of the corners for Prado. And boy, this zone is tiny to begin for Tyler Lyons. Bill Welke calling balls and strikes, not doing him any favors.
Dee Gordon gets a look at Lyons' move. It's always interesting. True base stealers, they don't care if you're left-handed or right-handed. They're going to find some key that they have to go off of, and when they see that, it's just explosion. As a base stealer, you have to learn to trust what you see.
He runs, pitches a ball, throw to second, not in time, and Gordon's nabbed second.
That is an element that the Marlins have sorely missed. Having that speed on the bases creates so much havoc. Anytime you make that other team have to make a play, have to make a throw, you put pressure on them.
That's his 7th steal in about a half of a season because of the long suspension. Second and third now with 1 gone. Infield is in. One wraps to the back door for strike 1.
Right here, Prado's got to try to stay off that ball in. That ball is cutting in, running in on him. He wants to get something elevated, middle of the plate, away preferably, because those are the easiest pitches to hit in the air. Fastball away, breaking ball, change up, get it away and try to get it up.
Here's a 2-1. Bottom of the zone for strike 2. We were talking about the Marlins' issues leaving runners on base. Martin Prado has not been part of that. His .371 average with men in scoring position, top 5 in the league.
And part of it is that growth where you start to understand what the pitcher's trying to accomplish, and then you know what to do to counteract that.
Bounced inside the bag, a fair ball that will score 2 more. Prado's on his way to second with a double. It's 7-0.
Prado just finds something that he can pull down the line, breaking ball with 2 strikes. You just have to try to stay alive. Then you're not really thinking sac fly. You're just thinking find something, and if it's close, put it in play. And with that drawn in infield, there's no chance to make that play at third, and D. Gordon's going to score on that 100 out of 100 times.
So the 5th double of the night already for Miami. Christian Yelich takes a strike. That already matches his season high for a single game. That 5 against the Phillies back in mid-May. And over the first 3+ innings, 5 of them tonight. One of them came from Yelich. He was back in that 4-run first inning. Things are kind of backwards from last night when the Cardinals had 3 in the second and then 6 in the 5th. Tonight it's the Marlins with a pair of big innings. Another bullet, base hit to right for Yelich. Here comes Prado. The throw is not in time, and it's 8-0. And an RBI single from Christian Yelich.
And if you're St. Louis, this is exactly what you didn't want to have happen. You don't want the Marlins to be able to bunch hits together. They're a good hitting team, but you can't let them string them together. And tonight, the Marlins have done a good job of hitting balls that are left in the middle of the plate and attacking them. And they've been able to find holes. And this is a tough assignment for a reliever to come in and do that long relief. Lyons has been really good for the Cardinals this year, giving them that bridge. He's had 5 appearances of 3 or more innings this year.
And that included 2 outings ago for him, where he went 4 2/3 against the Dodgers and got the win in a 16-inning game. Pitched the final 4 2/3 in that one, and gave up only 1 hit during that entire stretch, a bloop single.
And it's a tough role because you don't get a long relief appearance unless something's wrong.
Yeah.
Either someone is injured or the other team is just wearing you out. So you're coming in to put out a fire, or you're starting from dead cold, rushed into action that when you didn't know you were going to have to pitch.
Stanton takes down and away 2-2, and this is not a fun lineup to try and do it against. I'm not sure that nationally there's a proper appreciation yet for this Marlins order and how deep it is. Stanton tips it into the mid for strike 3 on a violent swing. And 2 away here in the 4th as we check in with Chris for a game break. Didn't see that one coming.
No, that's one that I would not have guessed.
Ozuna, strike 1. So you got the Braves trying to get younger, to get ready to move into the new ballpark starting next season. Well, granted, Oliveira had the off the field run-ins with the law, and his stock had dropped significantly because of it. But Matt Kemp, that huge contract that the Braves will now inherit, and like Chris said, there will be some cash components to it, and you figure that's the only way the Braves would have done it. The only way the Padres do it is to unload that salary.
Yeah, it's really one of those moves that it's like both teams wanted to just make a change, give some guys new scenery. And I know Matt Kemp wants to win. He was in LA. When you win early in your career, sometimes you think it's going to happen like that all the time. And in San Diego, it has not been going that well as far as wins and losses. But it's not going to get any better in Atlanta. I mean, they're a young team that's not a young team. They're a rebuilding team.
Well, Kemp is signed through 2019. Signed an 8-year, $160 million deal after the 2011 season. Comes a 2-2 to Ozuna. Pulls it foul.
But if there is one thought to keep in mind is Atlanta's moving into that new ballpark next year. So that's a nice piece to have to draw some fans in. Former MVP candidate, you know, had some really big years. He's hot right now. Veteran player, has that star quality from some of the big seasons he had in LA.
I saw a rumor that they were looking at Brian McCann, perhaps bringing him back from New York. Ozuna takes it outside, count goes full. Another same type thing where you get a name that people recognize and especially there appreciate and love from his days as a Brave. It's as much about the PR for Atlanta right now as it is the exact product on the field. Ozuna with a pop fly and foul ground at first. Holiday's over with room. Another 4-run inning for Miami, and as we go to the 5th, it's 8-0. An 8-0 lead for the Marlins over the Cardinals as we begin the 5th. And Colton Wong stands in. He is one of the 2 hits for St. Louis tonight. Single back in the 3rd after his 3-for-5 performance last night. Two and 0. With all the pieces the Cardinals have coming back, Wong not far from finding himself again having a battle for playing time. Peralta, Carpenter most notably coming back to that infield. Moss as well, although Wong not necessarily competing with Moss for time. Guy that signed a long contract in the offseason, a 5-year deal worth $25 million, and has spent time in the minors this season. Admitted that he was putting some pressure on himself and that the game stopped being fun for him. He's made it a conscious effort lately to try and come to the park with a smile on his face, and has seen some results on this road trip. Takes strike 3 on a big breaking ball from Felix.
good backdoor breaking ball. Get a look at the grip. Gets that good rotation. Starts it off the plate just a little. Brings it on. That's nasty.
Give up on that one.
Yeah, you just go, oh, strike right at the last second.
Phelps on for Colin Ray. Now Randal Grichuk, like Wong, came into the year with big expectations and chatted about a little bit first time he came up. He too spent time in AAA. It's been a few weeks there. Only came up when he did in early July because of other injuries. Brandon Moss went down on the DL, and Grichuk was called back up earlier than they had planned. He waits on a 1-1 and hammers it foul. Jerome Williams sighting out there in the Cardinals pen.
I look at him and he is still pitching. He's one of those guys that just finds his way around.
Grichuk hits it foul again.
He's one of those guys that can give you innings. When you see that Marlins classic poster with Pudge holding up the ball with that play at the plate, Jerome Williams is in the background on that San Francisco team.
And a strikeout of Grichuk.
96. That's what you see from Phelps when he's in those late inning roles. When he comes in for these roles, he pitches around 92, 91, but he has that in the tank. We've seen it hit 97 this year. And he dials that one up and throws it right by Grichuk.
You got Wong with that huge breaking ball, and now he flashes the fastball to 96 to get Grichuk. And now Hazelbaker for his first at-bat of the night, taking ball one.
Yeah, we talked about all these other outfielders for the Cardinals. We didn't even mention Hazelbaker. Hazelbaker has made his presence known. I saw him in spring training. Such a good-looking player. He did a lot. Well, and you know what? He did a lot last night, too. Big two-run home run. Got things going in the second inning. That ended up being the game-winning home run, RBI. Tell you, I watched him in spring training, and he ran the bases well. He gave you a good at-bat, played good defense. You could hit and run with him. You know, sometimes when you see minor leaguers come over, guys that you don't know that, you know, he had number 91 on his back, you don't really expect much. And it's not a knock on them. It's just that the big leagues is the big leagues, and it's different. But I was impressed seeing him. He was one of the guys that really stood out to me.
28 years old, making his major league debut this year after 7 seasons in the minors. 7 seasons wearing numbers like 91 during spring training, like you mentioned. He was the final man on the opening day roster and got off to a red-hot start, but then was sent back down to AAA and called back up just last week.
I mean, let's be honest. If you're wearing number 91, you're not really expecting much. You're not that high on the totem pole if you get number 91 in spring training. But he earned it, you know, and now he's got a big league jersey on and a better number.
Yeah, totally. There are a couple of guys right now, significant players that are wearing horrible numbers. Think of Jose Abreu.
Yeah,
79.
79 or 76. Something. Yeah, that's wow. Those are bad numbers.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Hazelbaker walks to keep this inning going. Yasiel Puig in Los Angeles is 66. Story behind that is that the Dodgers clubhouse attendant Mitch Poole had heard rumors that his nickname was El Diablo. And so he smacked a 66 on him, and Puig had a monster first spring training, so he said, I'm going to keep 66.
Wow.
Greg Garcia 0 for 2 tonight. Strike one.
Manny Ramirez wore 88.
Yeah, something
like
99.
99. That's what it was, 99.
Cardinals have had 4 base runners in this game, but 3 of them have come with 2 outs. Unable to plate anything against first Colin Ray and now David Phelps. with Ray leaving the game with what has officially been termed as a sore right elbow. Bittersweet night so far in that dugout.
Well, this Marlins bullpen's had to log a lot of innings. It's going to be interesting to see tomorrow.
It's a fly ball down the left field line. Long run for Yelich. Feels foul.
Simply because Mattingly's going to have to try to figure out a way to get, if he has to go to the bullpen, there's going to be some guys who are short because of the number of pitches thrown over the last few days. So that's when a manager's work is cut out for him. That's when you need that starter to give you innings, get you really deep into the game. If not, your manager's got to get creative.
So no pressure Andrew Cashner tomorrow.
Yeah, it might be one of those all hands on deck type days where, you know, guys have pitch limits and you just get them to that number.
Ray made his debut today. Cashner makes it tomorrow.
The newly shaven Andrew Cashner.
How about it?
It's a different look.
That's one way to put it.
You're so used to seeing that big, intimidating beard, and then there's that guy.
Looks like a different guy. Kept the sideburns though.
Yeah, the sideburns and the mullet in the back is still there. Just not as angry in the front.
No.
You know.
Marlins policy, got to be clean shaven. Garcia cracks his bat on a roller to Gordon. That'll bring this inning to a close.
Police ready to pitch. Swing a line drive, caught by Zimmerman. He'll go to first, double play. Going to throw it across the diamond and get the out there. It's a triple play. It's a triple play. It's a triple play.
Greater coverage of baseball sponsored by T-Mobile. A triple play last night in a critical spot in the game in San Francisco. First one ever turned since the Expos became the Nationals. Where was Denard Span going?
I don't know. He's way too experienced of a base runner, of a baseball player, to not see the ball hit the ground before you take off. You're at third base. That's just one of those plays where I know he wishes he could have it back, but a 3-3-5 triple play?
Yeah.
Baseball is amazing.
Chris Johnson swings and misses behind Jerome Williams 0-2. New catcher in the game, Alberto Rosario. And Jerome Williams making his Cardinals debut. He was signed in early June and called up this week from AAA Memphis. 11th Major League season. He's with his 8th different team.
He's one of those guys that keeps doing enough to be around. He's always had good arms, got that good sinker, two-seamer, and he can give you innings. He's been healthy most of his career, and there's value in that. There's value in that guy who can give you innings. When you look at a game that's 8-0, it gets lost in the shuffle with the guys that come in that help your ball club not have to pitch the guys that you want to pitch when you're winning, not have to pitch your closer, not have to pitch your setup guy. There's value in guys like Jerome Williams.
Started his career with the Giants, then the Cubs, then the Nationals, then the Angels, and in the last 2 years he's gone Houston, Texas, Phillies, St. Louis. 2-2. Johnson lifts it to right. Randal Grichuk waits under it. Williams gets the first batter that he faces in a Cardinals uniform. MLB.TV Premium is the #1 live streaming sports service available. You can watch every out-of-market game live in HD on over 400 supported devices, and it includes a free subscription to At-Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. 2,998 career Major League hits for Ichiro Suzuki. He started last night and went 0 for 4. Mathis pops the first one foul, and it reaches the seats. So he's not in the lineup today, but as always, a chance that he comes in late, either as a pinch hitter or in a double switch. The pressure externally is for Don Mattingly to find a way to get him to 300 while the team is at home, but Mattingly has said that it's coming. 3,000 is coming at some point, and he doesn't think it's fair to Ichiro or to a team who's in the middle of a race to try and force it.
Ichiro is such a professional. He has such a respect for the game of baseball that he wouldn't have it any other way. Of course, he'd love to be playing every day, but he's the 4th outfielder. He understands that role, and he understands that it's about winning, and he's going to do whatever it takes.
Little floater, shallow center. Pham comes on, and it finds a hole. And Mathis has his second hit of the night.
And I know the Miami fans would love to see Ichiro get that 3,000th hit in Miami. It may or may not happen, but it's not something that Mattingly is going to force. Just like you said, he's going to do it in the context of how he runs this ball club to win games.
Right-handed starter tomorrow in Andrew Cashner, so perhaps a window to give him another start. But like Don Mattingly has said, he won't do it just to do it.
Right.
It's been such a perfect role for him this year. Resurgence for him this year as their 4th outfielder. Here comes an 0-1 to Adeiny Hechavarria. And he flips it to right. Grichuk moves back and makes the catch. So thankfully for the Marlins, they've remained healthy, but they've had enough little things here and there where Ichiro's been able to get consistent enough at-bats to produce how he has.
When Stanton was struggling, they gave him a few mental days off here and there just to kind of help him relax a little bit. He got some starts then. You know, if guys were little nicks or dings. Yelich missed a few games. His back was acting up a little bit. Ichiro played a lot then. And I tell you, I'm impressed with how well he's playing defense. He's running well. The speed is there. You've seen him beat out infield hits. He makes plays close on routine ground balls. But also coming off the bench, he's got that bat speed that we saw before. He's hitting the ball hard again. Last year, I think he had to play so much early that I think it caught him a little by surprise. When you're in the American League like he was with the Yankees, when you don't start a game, you usually don't play that day. There aren't any double switches usually. There might be a matchup they put you in, but the amount of games that he had to play last year, I think, opened his eyes. And I'm sure that the professional and the work that Ichiro puts in, he absolutely trained differently. He prepared differently for this season. And you can see it in his body. You can see it in how well he's moving.
You mentioned the defense had an outfield assist just last night.
It's great to have a guy like that on your team, and he still got that arm. Man, that's right there on the money. Just put it on him, JT. I did the rest.
Phelps up there battling 1-2.
And when you have a young team with young, budding, up-and-coming players, what better example is there to have on your club than a guy he's going to the Hall of Fame, and he still works that hard every day. He still prepares that well every day. That's a template for you to just look at every day.
He will become the 30th member of the 3,000 hit club when he gets there. He'll be the third oldest to do it. He's 42 years old.
And he's the coolest guy on the team. He's got this way of dressing. It's just unbelievable. Like it's like a Japanese chic kind of, you know, the jeans rolled up with the socks showing, the blazers. He's a rock star, man. He really is.
Phelps smacks one the other way. Wong with good range to get him. You pick up any nice tips from him? Fashion tips?
Yeah. Pick good socks.
Okay, nice. The game in right field here in the 6th inning. And a couple of at-bats coming for him tonight. 2,998 the hit total in his major league career. He got 2,998 on a double on Thursday night in the first game of this series.
You see how hard he hit that ball. Those are his at-bats right now. Last year, the ball wasn't coming off the bat the same. And right now, he looks like he could play every day.
He said earlier this week in a really nice interview, ESPN the magazine, that he thinks he can play until he's 50.
If there's one person that I believe that Ichiro can do it. I remember Julio Franco saying the same thing. He wanted to play until he was 50. But I think the way that Ichiro takes care of himself is on a whole different level from what people can even really understand. He takes care of his body so well. He's so prepared. He's so flexible. He's so durable.
He's never gone on the disabled list with a muscle-related injury during his 16-year major league career. Started with the Mariners and then the Yankees, now in his second season in Miami. David Phelps to Jen Jerko with strike one. Ichiro will be due up 4th in the bottom of this inning for Miami. So not going to force it if you're Don Mattingly, but you get in a situation where it's 8-0, a chance to rest Stanton.
This is managing. That's you see. Matheny took his catcher out of the game because he wants to give him rest whenever he can. That's your guy. That's your horse. Molina has more innings caught than anybody right now. So this is a time when you get him out the game. Stanton, give him a break when you can. Put him out there. I mean, this is in the flow of what should be going on. This isn't forced. This is a good call. 8-0 game. Take your big horse out of there. Your players appreciate that, especially your veteran guys. They appreciate when the manager just takes care of you a little bit. You're not asking to come out of the game. You're not asking for a day off. Just if it's a game like that, give somebody some at-bats because you're going to need some of those bench guys. So it's good for the team as well.
For this Marlins team trying to track down a postseason berth for the first time since 2003. The first year under Don Mattingly. He won 3 consecutive division titles as manager of the Dodgers. Here's a 3-2. Jerko hits it in the air and foul ground, and it will reach the seats. Wild card standings right now. It is Mattingly's former team that sits at the top of them. Then the Cardinals, with the back-to-back wins to open this series, are in second. Marlins a game back of that second spot. And several teams still lurking. How about Colorado entering the picture with their hot run to open the second half?
Yeah, they've been getting some good starting pitching. Gray has been really good for them.
There's a smash to center off of the bat of Jerko. Zuna's at the wall for the first out. Speaking of the Rockies, Chris Myers, what's going on? All right, Chris. The additional wild card in baseball has added so much parity. So many more teams think that they're involved in the race, and it's also altered what the trade deadline looks like because there are more teams that think they should be buyers.
I think that's one of the better moves that baseball's made recently, is to add that, simply because the fans in different cities who their teams were playing well but they didn't have a chance to play in the postseason, now those extra couple cities get a chance. The fans are into it. It makes baseball more exciting because teams now are trying to compete longer. They're not selling off right away. Man, Phelps has got a good breaking ball going tonight. It's big, but it is really fooling these Cardinals hitters. He's locked up quite a few guys with his breaking ball.
He's matching it up with a 96-mile-per-hour fastball, too. 1-2 on Matt Holliday.
Oh, and there's the cutter. So he can go 92 to 96, 97 with the fastball, the four-seamer, and then he throws the cutter. See that little cut on it right there? That ball just cuts just a little bit. Not a true slider, still 90 miles an hour, but just that little short, late darting motion, and yeah. Yep. Holliday said, you know what? Yeah, I see what you did right there. Okay.
Tip of the cap?
Yeah, I see what you did right there. Okay, okay, you got that one.
So here's Rosario batting for the first time. Two and 0.
Well, there's one thing to have that difference in velocity. Saw at 96, bottom out at 77, but he's also throwing strikes with those pitches, and that's when it's tough. Sometimes a guy might have that slow breaking ball, but he never throws it for a strike. But Phelps has been in the strike zone, so now you got to honor everything, and those pitches range almost 20 miles an hour in difference.
Phelps to Rosario with a 3-0, and there's strike one. Four in the first and 4 in the fourth for Miami tonight, and shutting down the #1 run scoring team in the National League. was Colin Ray, who left the game his Marlins debut with soreness in his right elbow. Phelps has come on for him in a couple of scoreless innings of relief.
Well, so far the keys to this game is matched up. The Marlins have kept the Cardinals hitters from hitting home runs, and the Marlins have been able to string hits together, not just scatter them out throughout the game and get some runs together.
Rosario puts it in play. Gordon is there and throws him out. On to the bottom of the 6th. Ichiro due fourth. 2 from 3,000. Two 4-run innings for Miami in the first and in the 8th. Colin Ray looked sharp in his first game in a Marlins uniform, but left in the 4th with elbow soreness, replaced by David Phelps. He's thrown a couple of scoreless innings of relief, and Jaime Garcia pitching off short rest. Didn't last through the 4th. And so it's Jerome Williams out there facing the top of the order and missing low with ball 1 to D. Gordon. Ichiro will bat 4th. In this inning, the Marlins can get a man on. Prado and Yelich to follow Gordon before Ichiro. 1-1. One and 2.
Good pitch there. Jerome Williams took a little bit off of that. 83 miles an hour. Got Gordon to swing through it.
Got in on him, bounced wide of the bag, and it stays at 1-2. D. Gordon, reigning batting champ in the National League.
The one thing that Williams does well is he does work both sides of the plate. He can throw that sinker to the third base side. He can cut it in on you a little bit on the first base side of the plate if you're a left-handed hitter.
Here's a 2-2, and Gordon shoots one to short off 2 bounces. It's dropped by Garcia. Cardinals have committed more errors than all but one team in baseball this year. And Garcia has trouble handling this hot smash.
D. Gordon hits this ball well, but it looks like he just did not quite look the transfer in. See, he got it there, but when you got that speed out there, look at you had his eyes on D. Gordon, didn't quite transfer it well, and it came out. And that's been a problem for the Cardinals this year. Usually they're a pretty good defensive team. This year they've gotten better lately, but it's still not the Cardinals defense that you used to seeing them play.
It is ruled an error, and yeah, if they, most of the year they've led the majors in errors. If they were to finish the year leading the majors in errors, it'd be the first time since 1958 the Cardinals had done that.
Oh, and you alluded to the fact that the injuries and the position changes, part of that's due to that. You got some guys having to play out of position.
And Aledmys Diaz, who's the all-star at short, I think he's going to be a good fielder, and he's improved as this year has gone on, but high error totals for him in his rookie year. Williams to Prado with a 1-1 and a high fly ball to left. Hazelbaker is there. Well, trades in July pay off in October again. Be sure to join MLB Network for a full week of news, deals, and buzz leading up to the deadline on Monday. Go to MLBnetwork.com for the full schedule. We are less than 48 hours away now from the trade deadline. Cardinals yet to make any moves as the deadline approaches, and of course the Marlins triggering that 7-player deal yesterday. They got Colin Ray and Andrew Cashner from San Diego. With Ichiro on deck, here's Yelich. Ball 1.
And that's him every day. That stretches before every at-bat, stretches. He has weightlifting and stretching equipment that he takes with him. It's there right out in the clubhouse, I mean in the dugout, going up towards the clubhouse. He's got his own personal set of equipment, and it's he's so regimented. It's amazing the work that he puts in, that routine that he has to prepare himself.
Uniquely Ichiro, when he stayed that way for a long time.
Yes, and it's a great thing for young players to see, because greatness doesn't happen by mistake. It's worked for, it's earned. And Ichiro has been great in his career, and they see the work that it have. It's not just, oh, he's talented. No, they see the work that he puts in.
The fans that came just hoping that they get to see Ichiro. Saw him check in defensively here in the top of the 6th. Due to bat next here in the bottom half. Off the end of the bat to left center. Carrying well. Pham won't get there. Gordon flashes his way to third on a double from Christian Yelich. And here comes Ichiro. Been his best offensive season since he was a Mariner. .328 the average as he checks in. With the infield pulled in for St. Louis. Backdoor misses, ball 1.
This is a sprint to 3,000. There have been some hitters that when they get down that line, they're trying to get there, and it's a hit every now and then, some bad at-bats. These have been hard hit balls, good at-bats. He's taken his walks when he has to as well.
Swings and misses, 1-1. Made his debut in the majors when he was 27 after 9 years in Japan, where he won 7 batting titles, 3 MVPs. Waits on this 1-1 from Jerome Williams. Hit to second for Wong, who will throw him out. So he remains at 2.998. And it will take some kind of rally for the Marlins to get him 2 more at-bats in this one. But 1 more game on this homestand tomorrow. 2 more months in this season. As Ichiro approaches the 3,000 hit club. So 2nd and 3rd with 2 away, and Marcell Ozuna to the plate. It is 19th home run of the year earlier tonight.
He has such a quick bat. His bat speed it's got to be up there among the top in the league. See the 19 home runs, hit for a higher average now. Mentioned a relationship with he and Barry Bonds.
How about sharing a dugout in a clubhouse with Barry Bonds and Ichiro if you're a guy like Ozuna?
And then you got Don Mattingly sitting there as well.
Right.
Oh, and Lenny Harris, the all-time pinch hit king, was in your dugout as well.
Not a bad crew.
Yeah, a lot of hits in that dugout.
Put him on intentionally. They bring up Chris Johnson with the bases loaded.
Oh, and Tim Wallach as well over there, bench coach. Great Montreal Expo for years.
Came over with Don Mattingly from Los Angeles this offseason.
I would not be surprised to see him get a managing opportunity one day.
Some people thought it might be in LA.
He's a very well-respected guy in the league. He knows baseball. He knows the game. And he's a good man.
So they're loaded for Johnson. Will try and bust this thing wide open. It's already 8-0. If it's not already busted wide open with a 4-run first and a 4-run fourth for the Marlins. They try to get their first win in this series and try to even the season series at 3 games apiece. All 7 meetings between these teams coming in the first few weeks following the All-Star break. 2-0. Couple of grand slams in Johnson's major league career, which is in his 8th season. Like Williams, a journeyman. 8th year, 15. On 2-0. 2-1. Johnson from Houston to Arizona to Atlanta to Cleveland, and now in his first year with the Marlins. I don't know without checking, but it's a fairly safe bet to say these guys have crossed paths before on the same roster.
It probably had to happen.
Yeah.
I know one thing. Jerome Williams has got a lot of suitcases.
It hits him, and that'll make it 9-0.
That one just got away. You saw how it came out of the hand and just got the jersey. If you're going to get hit, that's how you're going to get hit. Just get the shirt, leave all the vital parts alone.
With the bases loaded, get an RBI.
Get an RBI, yeah. Yeah. You're like, mwah.
That must be living right. Corks a liner into center, a base hit, and the route is on, and this one, 2-run single, and it's 11-0 Marlins.
Well, you mentioned Mathis hitting the ball harder than that 205 average coming into the game indicates, and you see he's had some good swings tonight, lined the ball over Tommy Pham's head earlier, stays on this pitch, sends it right back up the middle, drives himself in 2 runs, gets 2 RBIs on that. I mean, it's tough when your average doesn't reflect what you feel like you're producing. So when you see a guy finally start to get some knocks, you feel good for him.
So 3rd hit of the night, knocks in those 2 runs, and up comes Echeverria. The story for the Marlins, like we've talked about, is that they have not had issues getting hits. It's been scoring runs. Tonight, 11 runs on 12 hits. Echeverria jams it back to Williams, who catches that knuckler to bring the sixth to a close. 11-0 Marlins in front as we go to the late innings. He sends Miguel Rojas into the game at third. And David Phelps' day is finished on the mound. Kyle Bearclaw, who is a former Cardinals farmhand. St. Louis drafted him out of St. Mary's College in California in the 7th round a few years ago. And now in his second season with time in the majors with Miami.
Bearclaw's got really good stuff. Good live fastball, can pitch in the mid-90s. Has a really good slider. He's one of the pitchers that when guys see him for the first time, you see him on the field for batting practice the next day, and they're like, who's that guy?
And in a game where one of the all-time great hitters, Ichiro Suzuki, tries to track down 3,000, we get to watch Jerome Williams hit.
Hey,
1-1.
we saw Bartolo Colon hit a home run.
That's right.
Okay,
that's right.
Things can happen.
Bearclaw came over in the Steve Cishek deal before the deadline last year. Pitched in 25 games, put up good numbers, and an important piece of the bullpen all season this year. And he gets Williams for the first out of the 7th. Time for another game break. Hello again to Chris Myers. And both these teams, Chris, trying to track the Dodgers down to the top of the wild card standings. Tommy Pham swinging and missing at 94. The postseason started today, which it doesn't. We got another couple months, but standings right now show the Dodgers as the top wild card team. Cardinals are second, so those two teams would play, and the Marlins a game back. 0-2, back-to-back 94-mile-per-hour fastballs.
Well, you saw that strikeout of Jerome Williams. That's one thing Bearclaw does. He can make you swing and miss. The good live fastball. The good breaking ball. And there it is.
Man.
As if your day isn't going poorly enough, you're down 11-0, and you got this guy coming out of the bullpen, who, by the way, leads National League relievers in strikeouts.
So back-to-back Ks to start his day of work. And Kolten Wong. Good matchup in the finale tomorrow as Andrew Cashner makes his Marlins debut. And Carlos Martinez having a career year for St. Louis. It's been their best starter this season, their most consistent starter. The final game of the 4-game series this weekend, and the final game between the teams this regular season. Wong goes the other way with his second base hit of the night and his 5th in the last 2 nights.
Wong is swinging the bat a lot better. Like I said, going the other way now. This is going to be big for him. This is going to help him a lot. He does have power, but sometimes you can fall in love with it. And the thing about Wong's power, it's all to right field. So if he's hit for power, he's only pulling the ball. So now they're trying to get him with a more central approach, back up the middle, let the ball travel a little bit, give himself more of a chance to get on base more often. The power will be there. You're going to catch the fastball in it, that hanging breaking ball, that's going to be there, but you got to give yourself a chance more consistently.
2 gone. Here's Grichuk, and there's strike 1. Grichuk has struck out both times. He is now 4 for his last 32 with 18 strikeouts. Not a fun guy to try and break that slide against. Bearclaw home with an 0-1. And Grichuk swings through it. 95, 0-2.
It just looks like Grichuk's in between. It looks like he's thinking too much at the plate. You know, and that's what bad stretches, bad seasons are made of. You just have to react when you're hitting. Once you start thinking too much.
Down he goes. Bearclaw gets 3 strikeouts in the inning. Grichuk has struck out all 3 times tonight. All Marlins in Miami. Fourth and 3 in the 6th. And Jerome Williams missing down and away with ball 1 to Miguel Rojas. Williams' second inning of work. Gave up the 3 runs last inning here in his Cardinals debut. And now faces Rojas. 1-1. Rojas has been a nice piece for the Marlins with Gordon's suspension. This guy is one impressive fielder, and he's coupling it with a pretty decent batting line this year.
Yeah, and he can play anywhere in the infield. I think he's played everywhere in the infield so far this year. And just what you've seen with the bat is a bonus.
Play a little bit of first with Moore's injury.
Yes. The renowned Perry Hill, who is the fielding teacher. If there's a Yoda for fielding, it would be him. He says Rojas is the best first baseman on the ball club.
Wow. Moore rehabbing right now, and Miami looking forward to his return. One of the more underrated players you'll find right now.
Justin Bour is going to pay big dividends when he gets back to his ball club. It's going to give them that other power bat. That is going to make it hard for teams to pitch around, especially late in the games.
Over the outside corner from Williams for strike 3 to get Rojas. Tune in tomorrow afternoon on Fox for exciting MLS action as the Portland Timbers take on Sporting KC. A game's in Kansas City. Coverage starts with the MLS pregame at 1:30 Eastern, 10:30 Pacific, and then the match begins at 2. Out of the Clevelander. You ever get in that pool?
I've never been in that pool. No.
D. Gordon pops the first pitch that he sees into short center. And Pham makes the call on the catch.
These are the games as a player you have to really bear down because it's really easy to give away at bats. And playing with Todd Helton really helped me understand that every at bat you have to try to be the same. He was one of those guys who never gave away anything. And when you get that mentality, things start to change. But these are tough games. You know it's a blowout. You know you're not in danger of losing this ball game if you're Miami unless something ridiculous happens. So you end up maybe not focusing as much.
Over the course of a long season, games like that stack up, right? You see it reflected in your end of the year line.
You can end up having 20, 30 at bats in situations like this over a season.
Faircloth takes 3 pitches in a hurry. Williams sits him down. Out in this one as we go to the 8th inning. Be sure to check out the MLB.com app Bat app. You can stay up to the moment at any moment with game day, live game video highlights, StatCast, news, and more. Download it, the #1 app for live baseball on your phone and tablet. So as we go to the 8th inning, the closer for the Marlins, A.J. Ramos, pitching here in an 11-0 game. It has been 5 days since he's pitched, though. Don't want to go too long without using a key piece of that bullpen. Hazelbaker attacks the first one, strike one. So first time he's pitched since Monday when he gave up 3 runs against Philadelphia. Trying to get back into the groove here that he established with the 31 saves prior to that game on Monday. Comes in 0-1. Hazelbaker looks at strike 2. Former Texas Tech Red Raider A.J. Ramos. He's the second Texas Tech pitcher to throw in this game. Tyler Lyons, who pitched for St. Louis, played there as well. Born and raised in Lubbock was Ramos. Now in his 5th major league season. Second one is Miami's closer. 2-2 on Hazelbaker. Put together a pretty good bullpen here in Miami, adding Fernando Rodney not too long ago. We saw what Bearclaw can bring. Impressive arms.
Mike Dunn, veteran, been around for a while, still got that good fastball. Brian Ellington may throw the easiest 98, 99 you'll ever see. Just effortless. Nick Whitgren has been a big find for them. Came up and has pitched well. Pitches in late inning situations sometimes. He's one of those guys that's just got that slow pulse, man. You know, nothing rattles him. He's pitched at the back end of the bullpen at every level he's been.
Hazelbaker shoves one into left center that'll sink in, a base hit. Check in again with Chris Myers for a game break. Hug Watch is officially on this weekend. So leadoff single for Hazelbaker. Here's Garcia at the top of the Cardinals order. And he fouls it off. We often hear about guys that have been traded from one team to another while they're playing that team. That happened to you while you were in the minors.
Yes, I was with the Mets. The Mets minor leagues are AAA. We went to Charlotte to play against the Marlins AAA team. And I played the first game of that series for the Mets, and I played the last 2 games of that series staring at my old teammates.
So weird. 4-6-3. How about in 06? You were part of a trade to the St. Louis Cardinals, and not too long ago you celebrated the decade anniversary of the World Championship you brought home.
Oh, that was a lot of fun, going and seeing all the guys. You know, all the relationships you build, the memories that you have from going out there. And we were hearing the crowd cheer like that. I mean, we were all pumped up. Like, we probably would have pulled 45 hamstrings if we'd have tried to do anything with that emotion. But it was a lot of fun seeing everyone.
You know, it's amazing, that group of old men there with you guys. Adam Wainwright was part of that group.
Yes. Yes, and he it was nice because when they did the procession going around the field in the trucks, he and Yachty were actually warming up in the outfield, getting loose. So they were standing there, and we're seeing our battery, you know, the battery from the final outs of the World Series there. That was a lot of fun, man. And then Waino goes out and throws I think it was a 3-hit shutout.
Jerko towards the left field corner, hooking away from Yelich, and Jerko with a base hit. Cardinals have made 5 consecutive postseason appearances, 9 division titles, 9 NLCS trips since 2000.
That looked like a changeup that just stayed up. Ramos, one of those very unique closers that has more than 2 pitches. He can throw 3, 4 pitches some nights. Fastball, changeup, curve, and slider.
Fastball by Holiday. Cardinals have not spent a day in first place this year with the year the Cubs have had. They started the day 6 games back, or started the game 6 games back, with the Cubs losing earlier. It's never happened in the current divisional format where the Cardinals have gone a full season without a single day in first. It goes back to 1994. 10 division titles during that stretch, including 3 in a row. But trying to track down the mighty Cubs this year. Ichiro due up second next inning. Looking for hit number 2,999. Ramos to Holiday, 1-2. What do you think? Can the Cardinals track down the Cubs?
If they get healthy, and if the Cubs starting pitching continues to falter a little bit, there's a chance there. But the Cubs they're such a good ball club. They're a complete ball club, and it's really it's really hard to see them being taken over. But you get Carpenter back, get some health in that starting outfield out there, get that some cohesiveness going out there, try to find that good mix.
Now, one of the things that has happened is more depth has revealed itself on this Cardinals team because of the injuries. And how valuable is a guy like Jed Jerko or Brent Garcia or Tommy Pham going to be when you get into September, because you now know what you have as a result of the injuries they've dealt with?
I think that's what happened with the Cardinals in 2006. They had a few injuries. Albert got hurt. Had some pitching go down. Carpenter was injured. You had some guys get a chance to play and perform that may not have necessarily gotten a chance to play. And it ended up making the ball team better because there was more confidence all around that locker room. Yadi was a young guy coming out. I think it was his rookie year. Hadn't really learned to hit yet, but he was so good behind the plate. And of course, Wainwright, when you're a rookie and can come in and in a Shea Stadium in games, playoffs, game 7.
Yeah, cold-blooded. Here's a floater into center. Gordon can't make the play. And Holiday has a base hit into center.
Another big injury from 2006 that people don't remember is Jason Isringhausen. That's why Wainwright ended up closing, because Isringhausen got hurt. He had the bad hip that year. And so you took a rookie and had him on the mound in game 7 of a division championship, league championship in New York. And what got him through that was the help that he got from Jason Isringhausen, who helped him to breathe and stay through that process and helped him to slow things down. I can't imagine being a rookie pitcher on a mound in game 7 league championship.
People that aren't Cardinals fans loathe the phrase the Cardinal way. But I mean, there's something to it. It's every year that this team deals with something and has an answer for it. They dealt with injuries all last season as well and wound up winning 100 games and a 3rd straight division title. It was Wainwright and Holiday and Adams all shelved for much of the year.
Their attention to detail is top-notch. And they have players that come up from the minor leagues that play good defense, that always conscious of getting signs. There are little things that young players sometimes don't do with other ball clubs, and it's done that way with the Cardinals. They teach them how to run the bases well. There's little things in the game that can go unmissed that may not necessarily be a stat for, that they make sure that their players do every day.
1-1 on Rosario. Ramos trying to pitch around some trouble. First outing in 5 days for him. And he's given up 3 hits in this inning. Both outs coming on 1 ground ball. Shot foul, 1-2. So as to the question, can the Cardinals catch the Cubs? Can the Marlins catch the Nationals?
That Nationals rotation is really, really something special. It is. Strasburg pitching the way he is, just leading that core. It's a really good pitching staff. And I think the Marlins are going to have to. They're going to have to get better starting pitching. And tonight is it's a bad blow to have to see Colin Ray come out of the game simply because, you know, he was brought over to try to give some depth to that pitching staff. So the starting pitching for the Marlins is going to have to get a little bit better. But I think they have a ball club that's got that right feel about it.
Rosario doing a good job to stay alive against Ramos. Nationals today made a deal for Mark Melancon, so they don't get Chapman from the Yankees, but they get Melancon from the Pirates. One of the top closers in the game. And now, of course, you have to walk that fine line of what does that mean for Jonathan Papelbon and what does that mean for the clubhouse culture.
Well, I want to backtrack 1 second. I don't want to put it all on the pitching. The offense has to do better at driving in runs as well.
There's a liner to short that Echeverria snags and brings his 8th inning to a close. Ichiro 2 hits from 3,000. Due up second when you come back. Sitting at 2,998 hits. Came in as a defensive replacement in the 6th. Grounded out to second his first time up tonight. And is 0 for 5 since getting 2,998 on Thursday. Christian Yelich looks at a ball. Three-hit night for him. Top average in the National League since the All-Star break last year. It seems like this guy's been around too long to be only 24 years old.
Such a good eye at the plate. He has such good command of the strike zone for a young hitter. You know, you usually see guys that can hit with power, whatever it may be.
Fly ball to center. Pham goes back on it, and he's got it. And so Ichiro to the plate for the second time tonight. The crowd rises. So 2 hits from 3,000 as a major leaguer, but 4,276 in his professional career when you include the 9 years in Japan. And he takes strike 1 from Williams. Debuted in the majors when he was 27. 42-year-old waits on an 0-1. Bit of it off of the plate. 1 ball, 1 strike. Here's a 1-1. 1-2. Miami fans hoping he does it in Miami. One more game on this homestand tomorrow, and it is a right-handed starter for St. Louis and Carlos Martinez. And then the Marlins hit the road for Wrigley Field. Wouldn't be a bad place for it to happen. Here's another 1-2, and Ichiro takes it outside.
What a job Williams has done for the Cardinals. 64 pitches, getting them to the 8th inning. That's a big deal.
Longest relief outing in a couple of seasons for him. Dealing with Ichiro. Here's a 2-2. Full count. And the crowd's thinking, well, a walk doesn't do us any good.
It's one of those times where the opposing pitcher gets booed for walking. You know, instead of you cheering for your guy getting on base, they boo him because they didn't pitch to him.
Another 3-2, and Ichiro flips it to left center. Hazel Baker's got it, and Ichiro is 0 for 2 tonight.
Williams pitched him tough, changed speeds, went both sides of the plate on him, made good pitches.
You know, when Ichiro signed his first contract in the majors, it was a 3-year deal with Seattle. Back when he was 27 years old. A lot of people didn't think that his style would transfer here to the big leagues. In a power-dominated era, Ozuna takes ball 1. He said that he was just hoping that he'd survive that 3-year deal, and when he signed the initial contract that he'd last that long. The fly ball to right. The very first day in the majors, made a great defensive play. Came running in the dugout. Lupinella, his manager, gave him a big kiss, and he said, if I'm going to get kissed after every big play, I don't know I can last 3 years. Tuesday night, it's an NL Central showdown. Cardinals fans hoping things go a little better. They start the series in Cincinnati. You can watch it on FS1, or you can watch it on Fox Sports Go. Johnny Peralta, Brandon Moss, both due to come off of the disabled list for that game. And then Matt Carpenter later next week when St. Louis returns home to Busch Stadium. So Ichiro 0 for 2 tonight, and we'll have a chance at 3,000 in the final game of this homestand tomorrow. Another pitcher in the game, Brian Ellington, just recalled from AAA today. Impressive numbers over 10 outings. Here's Piscotty pinch hitting to lead off the inning and taking ball 1. 98, you said it, easy 98, I guess.
Yeah, it's that long fluid motion, and all of a sudden it's just straight velocity coming at you.
Piscotty's had back-to-back days off as he started to struggle, and Mike Matheny saying, go get you one at-bat. Face this guy throwing 98.
That is the life of a young ball player right there. Sit down for 9 innings and a blowout. Eoyang didn't go try to hit that.
Oh. A foul tip get a piece of Mathis. Or do they say that it
Wait, is it what?
Or is it catcher's interference?
Got to be catcher's interference. Yeah, you see Mathis just picked up some dirt and flung it around there.
Yep.
Oh, jeez. He got smoked right there.
How does that happen? How do you get that big of a chunk of glove in the way of the bat?
Sometimes catchers try to, they call it stealing a strike. They try to reach out there. And also, the batter was just so late on it.
Tommy Pham.
You know, usually when a guy throws 98, 99 miles an hour, he's falling off the mound, got this big violent follow through.
Not the case.
No.
No, you're right about easy. Had a 288 earned run average in 23 games last year. And 079 in his 10 games this year.
Yeah, if there's anything that creeps in, the control sometimes will go and come, but the velocity is always there.
99. How does a guy that throws that hard go to the University of West Florida and then fall to the 16th round?
You know, it's one of those things where there's some adjustments made in his mechanics, and he actually picked up a few miles an hour velocity after making some mechanical changes. But sometimes guys just come out of nowhere. Sometimes guys blossom late. You know, I always tell people Bobby Bonilla spent 2 years in the Gulf Coast League. You know, sometimes it just happens at different times for guys.
So the catcher's interference, and now a 4-pitch walk to Pham, and 2 on. With nobody out against Ellington as Colton Wong comes up. Well, Ellington was a 16th rounder. Wong was a 1st rounder out of Hawaii back in 2011. Another good night for him. He's 2 for 3. That one's not close. Ball 1. So the 2 for 3 after the 3 for 5 last night. Had a huge hit against Jeurys Familia the other night in New York. Colton Wong starting to come alive for this Cardinals team on the heels of that 5-year, $25 million contract he signed this offseason. So through the struggles that he's went through, he's learned to really know his swing. So before, he knew that he could hit, but never necessarily knew why. Knew that he had a leg kick, didn't know how or why he was using it. And the struggles this year have forced him to take a step back and really look at everything that he does and study it closely. There's a strike, 2-1.
Baseball in the major leagues is a very humbling experience at times, especially when you have a young guy who comes up through the minor leagues and has success at every level. When he was in high school, he was good. If they go to college, they're good. In the minor leagues, they're good. And then the first time they ever fail is in the big leagues. So that does something to a person, and some people don't handle it well. Some people never come back from it. Some people, that process is long to try to get back to where you were as far as your numbers and the way you felt you stacked up against other players. And the big leagues, it does it to a lot of guys. Last year, Christian Yelich was hitting about 200 in June. And I had talks with him. He's like, man, I've never hit 200 for 3 months before.
Long flies it to center. Ozuna retreating. He's got it. Shows off the arm.
So then through those stretches, you learn who are the good guys, who are the guys that are good guys even when they're struggling in your clubhouse. You learn a lot about that player's character. You learn a lot about how coachable they are, how willing they are to accept information. Because sometimes if you've always had success, you think your way is the only way to do it.
Grichuk going through one of those stretches himself where he's trying to figure things out. 3 more strikeouts tonight. That's 19 Ks in his last 33 at-bats. Yeah, that's strike 1. Some guys never recover from those first poor stretches, right? I mean, they mow their way through the minors, get to the majors, and just can't get it figured out when they struggle for the first time.
It's psychologically tough on some guys. It's like that heavyweight boxer who knocks everybody out, and then all of a sudden he finally gets beat, and now he's there. It's nothing the same. He's not the same anymore. You know, he doesn't carry himself the same. He doesn't feel the same. And baseball is a very humbling sport, like I said, and there's a lot of failure in it. And it's tough to come to the ballpark day in and day out and struggle and still keep going when you're used to being the best player on the field.
1-2. This can't be a comfortable at-bat for anybody when he's got 99 buzzing all over the place, doesn't totally know where it's going right now.
Yeah, that's thanks Skipper. Let me get this last at-bat. Appreciate this.
Is 1-2. Fastball at 98 by Grichuk, who strikes out all 4 times tonight.
Yeah, he looks bad. His timing's all off. His rhythm's bad. But this is 98. That's just absolutely blown by him.
It's the second time against the Marlins this month that he struck out 4 times in a game. The 4th time in his career.
There's just no confidence in that swing. You know, he just doesn't look like it's not a confident swing.
So with 2 gone, here's Hazelbaker. 99, caught the corner. Final game of the series tomorrow. Andrew Cashner starts for the Marlins in his Miami debut. And Carlos Martinez goes for the Cardinals. Marlins will try and salvage a series split. The winner will leave this series with the second wild card position. Entering August, 0-2. Can you believe August is here Monday?
Wow.
Stretch run.
Yeah.
Jose Fernandez, Barry Bonds found the cameras.
Oh my God. Jose Fernandez is always chewing off Barry Bonds here. It's unbelievable how much those two chat.
Protects 99. Odd couple. One of the great hitters that ever lived, one of the great young arms in the game right now. And Barry's got Jose rolling.
think that's one of the things that people are starting to understand about Barry Bonds. Now, Barry Bonds is not the Barry Bonds when he played. I've always had a great relationship with him, but he's funny, he's thoughtful. He's one of the guys that what you remember or what people know of the image that he had when he played, he's nothing like that. These players love him. He'll come back on the plane and sit with us for an hour doing a plane ride. Just come back and sit to the back of the plane and come talk to us. Like,
I think he's saying that Jose Fernandez won't stop talking.
yeah, that's all the time. That's all the time. He's always like, he can't get away from it. It's like his kid, man.
They just coordinated blowing a kiss. All right. Comes a 2-2 to Hazelbaker. And a bouncing ball to short. Miami hands St. Louis its largest loss of the season, 11-0. Jose Fernandez and the Marlins all smiles as they get their first win of this series and set up a chance at evening the series tomorrow. These two teams now tied for the second wild card spot. Should be a fun run to the finish here in 2016. For Preston Wilson, Joe Davis saying so long from Marlins Park. NHRA qualifiers from Sonoma next.